Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Want to talk today about things going on all around the world, how they relate to us here in America, and, well, how America is starting to look to probably the rest of the world, and then how that may relate to you and to us and to our lifestyle and to all the things that's going on, because I kind of think and believe, and some of you agree, that most of the things that go on in the world today are interconnected. Most of them are orchestrated, and most of them are probably being done for a bigger purpose, a bigger reason. I don't think that most of the stuff that we're seeing happen are just coincidence. It's just a fluke of nature, that kind of stuff. So what I'm talking about is, you know, predominantly Russia, Crimea, the Middle East with Israel and Iran, and then bigger than that with Turkey and Saudi Arabia, and then over in China and Taiwan, and all the stuff that's going on with those. We've talked about it before. It appears that there's three potential major wars that are on the verge of breaking out, where it's going to line up. Again, most of the Western world, potentially the United States and Europe, Israel, Japan, Taiwan, places like that, versus China, Russia, and Iran, and and then some of their smaller, North Korea, Syria, places like that. And it, while it's certainly not certain, it's definitely building to a potential a global war threat, which is something that many people have talked about for years. The threat of that, the worry that something like that could happen, and then now it's happening at a time that one could argue America is the most divided and potentially the weakest she's ever been. So I want to talk about that. I do want to mention something, that I'm uploading a video over on my Rumble channel because, as you know, I have a lot more freedom to speak my mind over there. And so I'm going to be talking about something that would certainly not be allowed here on YouTube. And it's, well, let's just say it's very revolutionary, and talking about, well, things of that nature. I hope you're catching my drift because, again, this is YouTube. So I have to be careful with what I say. But I will try to leave a link to that video somewhere below in the description so that you can go over and check that out. I should have that up today sometime. All right, back to this whole global war thing. A lot of people are talking about it. Some people aren't as interested as others. Um, some people think it's just some orchestrated chess game, which it always is anyways. Here's some things to remember, or to think about at least. Um, for the first time since at least World War II, if these things happen and if we become involved, which we most certainly will, it will be the first time since World War II that we faced an adversary militarily in a war that actually posed a threat to us here on, U.S. soil. Um, Korea never did. Vietnam never did. I know you could argue the terrorists come here and they do their thing here sometimes, but I'm talking about a standing army, another nation that has the capability of posing a serious threat to the United States here on U.S. soil. And for the first time in a very, very long time, we are getting to that point that we could actually face that. And just Russia and Ukraine alone, a lot of people are saying that it literally is days away potentially from this going into a hot war between the two. America has been moving Navy ships up into the Black Sea. Russia said, it would be in the United States' best interest to stay out of this. And then also made kind of a threatening comment today that United States Navy better not get anywhere near the Ukrainian Russian coast there in the Black Sea, that they need to stay away from it. And there's been a lot of troop movement, a lot. I'm sure many of you have seen the videos of troop movements on both sides of the border there, of this buildup um, of forces that very much looks like there could be a war sometime soon. And then there's Israel and Iran. They're just going back and forth. Iran. Now remember that the Biden administration has removed all sanctions from Iran. That's right. We removed all sanctions from Iran. And so Iran has announced that they're starting up their nuclear centrifuges, and they're going to go, full steam ahead. And of course, Israel doesn't like that, and they've already done a cyber attack, and it looks like some retaliation. An Israeli ship was attacked, I believe, in the Red Sea or somewhere in one of the around that area. This is kind of an ongoing theme. And then, of course, there's China and Taiwan, and China has made incursions into Taiwanian airspace more so in the last couple of weeks than probably ever has before. And then there's also the little small ones, Turkey. They're wanting to just become the Ottoman Empire again. And then there's crazy North Korea, shooting off some of their missiles again, and making threats to basically everyone. All right. So that's what's going on in the world. Well, that's not everything that's going on, but certainly that's things that are going on that could be a threat and could spark some type of World War III, a global war. And then we have the United States. And right now in the United States, what do we have? We have people still living in fear of a virus that poses a 0.02% or whatever threat to them. And it's insane to see the stuff that's going on because of that. I don't even want to go into it in this video. And then we have the whole race thing going on. Everything now is oppressive and racist. I saw something the other day, I believe it was from the New York Post, and it said that be careful of the font that you choose when you're typing things up. You can choose through, if you have a word processor, pretty much anything. There's like hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of font that you can choose when you type something up. And it said to be careful of what kind of font you use, because some fonts can, be racist and can further systemic racism because of the type of font that you use. That's right. It's racist. I mean, the things that they've said over the past few months is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. And it is a war. It is a war against American traditional values. And the thing is from what I have seen, a lot of this isn't a black versus white thing. And that's what they want to make it to be. They want to make it a black versus white thing, and it's not really that. It's a very progressive, hard left that wants to destroy us, that wants to divide us so much further, and that everything is oppressive. Everything. It's hilarious to me. I saw something the other day that the wealthiest black woman on the planet, billionaire Oprah Winfrey, and a royal and probably billionaire, the Duchess of Sussex or whatever her name is, Meghan Markle or whatever her name is, we're talking together on TV about how oppressed that they are. And we're living in a world where the billionaires and the athletes and the Hollywood entertainers and the people walking around or living in $1 million homes are oppressed, but yet us poor folks that, on a at least an American standard might be considered poor or not having a lot or living a simple life, we are the oppressors. I'm trying to figure that out. And then there's the whole gender insanity, where even the conservative Republican governor of Arkansas made statements implying that possible gender surgery for minors isn't a bad idea when he vetoed the bill down there in Arkansas protecting children by making it illegal to do gender reassignment surgeries on minors. This is the kind of stuff that's going on here in the United States. This and well, a lot more. I mean, we've got riots all over the place, and people are looting the Dollar Tree because there's so many valuable things inside that Dollar Tree that we want to get our hands on. And more, I mean, the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin trial thing hasn't even gotten over with, and they're already, burning cities down. How much more so is it going to be when that trial ends? That's the state of America. So, from a tactical perspective, if I were China, if I were Russia, if I were Iran, if I were North Korea, or any other nation that would just love for the opportunity to see America fall, I cannot think of a time better in American history than now. That America is weak and divided. We're teaching all this tolerance, gender tolerance to the troops, and we're teaching them that patriots, that's right, patriots are extremists and they're the greatest threat to the military. That's a fact. Talked about that on the channel a while back. Our adversaries must look at us and laugh. I understand what many of you are going to say. Yeah, but there's this many million gun owners in America. Well, they're trying to take those away too. They're trying to stop that. These nations that could pose a threat to us, if they wanted to actually make some tactical advance on these nations that they are bullying right now, in hopes that maybe they could get us spread thin on a three-front global war, uh, man, now's the time to do it. And I know, well, we have the biggest and the best military and blah blah blah. Well, yeah, but we've never put this modern military that we have, that certainly isn't the biggest, against at least three very capable large military forces on three separate fronts. We've never tried that before. And if that's where we find ourselves in the coming days, weeks, and months, I don't know. I'm not saying that we wouldn't survive it, but I believe that it could definitely be a tough one for us. Now, for those that will argue that this is all part of the game, this is all part of the game, I will say, you're right, it is. Because I think in the end, personally, most of what we're seeing here being played out by these nations of the saber rattling that's going on, and then America looking like, you know, Gomer Pyle or something like that, twiddling its thumbs and can't even keep its own affairs in order. I think it's all playing into this global domination and this great reset and everything else. Because most of the policies that are in this agenda, these Agenda 21, 2030, 2050 policies, um, they would be much easier to enact these policies on a global stage if certain players in the global community were much weaker. If there was more catastrophe, if there was more disaster, if we're in the middle of this scary health crisis, global health crisis, and all these nations are fighting with each other, and all these people are rioting across the nation, and we're having food shortages and shipping problems and racial problems all over the planet, and no one can get along. Well, that's the perfect opportunity for global leaders to step in, for a global takeover, and say, hey, we've got a solution that will fix it all. We have all this advanced technology. We have all these solutions that were already planned out and they're ready to just put into place. That's kind of my theory on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Regardless of whether I'm right or wrong on that one or not, I do think that we are entering a time of great uncertainty on the global stage. And it looks like, especially with the current administration and the weakness that I believe that it portrays across the planet, is that we're ripe for the pickings. And um, even if these nations have no intention of actually dominating, like actually taking over, invading our borders and taking over in a more traditional sense when it comes to war, they definitely want to dominate us in a global power sense and in an economic sense. And these wars would certainly do that, or could certainly do that. So I think that I think we're slowly moving ourselves into kind of a rock and a hard place. And maybe a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is more of a distraction. The stuff that we're seeing here in the United States, it usually is a big distraction. All these riots and all this ridiculousness with race and oppression and systemic racism and gender identity and reassignment and tolerance, and it's getting to the point uh, that it is truly insane. I'm sorry. You can call me what you want. You can think that I'm this horrible person. I understand I'm not nearly as middle of the road as some other YouTube channels that talk about prepping and homesteading, but this is what you get. And if you don't like it, then there's other channels that I'm sure you can find that are much more neutral. Um, I can't in good conscience use the opportunity to speak to people and not talk about the things that I feel and led in my heart to kind of wake them up about. And I know that not everything that I say on here is specific to prepping and homesteading, but you know what? I think that it is. I think all of this stuff is. If you're out here trying to prep up and learn skills and acquire the land and live off of it and become more self-sufficient and build your food supplies and you improve your security and the safety of your family because of all the potential bad things that could happen, well, you cannot turn a blind eye to the stuff that I'm talking about today and in other videos. I'm not on here trying to scare everyone and that, oh, the sky is falling, it's the doomsday is happening. I'm trying to let you know and get you to think of the stuff that's going on, and to kind of give you at least a heads up to prepare for it. Not just physically prepare for it, which you should be doing, but also mentally preparing for it, because um, I believe that as a nation, as a people, we're in for a pretty rough haul for a while, and maybe even for the rest of our lifetime. So, again, keep an eye on this stuff that's happening around the planet and get yourselves as much as prepared as you can. Stocking up, training, learning skills, and in the end, just becoming as self-sufficient as you possibly can, because I think in the end, that's the ultimate level of preparedness, is to being as self-sufficient as possible. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.